Alright gang, just wanted to talk to you about my example here so that if you're having any questions on your work time in class tomorrow that you can go ahead and get them answered to it. The first thing that I did was put together a title slide here. When you start, it gives you a new slide. I just put Mr. Daniels' example. You should put your last name, Unit 1, Assignment 13, Final Project. So that should be in the title right up here. The other thing that you should do is go and get your map. So I borrowed the U1-A13 of Decker Hansen, and very simply all I did was go ahead and cut a picture of that out. So I opened my screen tool and I took a screenshot of that. Then I saved it, and I'm going to hit no on this, and then I went to insert image. On my PC I would upload it from my desktop, so I would minimize this, grab the image off my desktop and drag it right in there. For you all, if you're working on the Chromebooks, it's going to be, you're going to have to add it to your Google Drive, so it's going to go in your download folder. You drag it into Google Drive and you would add it here from Google Drive. Alright, so that's been added. I'm going to go ahead and, once I have that uploaded, then I'm going to label it geography. This is my geography piece. It has the physical map, so I'm going to go down the checklist. Let's go to the checklist. See, the geography of your civilization, a physical map. So you will put a check mark. I'm going to mark it green as in done. Remember, obviously this is saltwater. Cyprus is an island, so saltwater doesn't water crops, but this river right here that is labeled as it was required in the assignment for U1-A13, this is what gives us our water. Who are the neighbors? Well, if you go back to the title slide, Egypt is their neighbors. Okay. If you go to the next slide, I went ahead and added this in. Right. This originally was part of a Phoenician colony. It's part of the Assyrian Empire. It's part of the Persian Empire. It's part of the Egyptian Empire. It gets conquered a little bit by the Greeks. And it kind of changes hands quite a bit, but they kind of leave it alone. And the one thing that kind of keep in mind here is that the Phoenicians obviously set up kind of this trading colony here. They would have had to have sailed here. The main natural resource on the island is copper. The interesting thing about copper is that early humans, early hominids, found that it could be molded and shaped and hold a sharp edge. Eventually they're going to combine it with tin, and they're going to turn it into bronze. These are weapons. They're also artwork. And a lot of this copper is found naturally in Cyprus. So on this island here, we find out that settlers to Cyprus most likely came from Phoenicia, as this was a trading outpost for them. This actually came from my lecture piece. And then the natural resource of Cyprus is, of course, the Curus River and large amounts of copper. And I went and found an article about the natural resources in Cyprus, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. But this is the MLA citation for that. So it's Keeley, author's last name, paragraph 2, parenthesis, period. And then the bonus, people traded to overcome a space issue. Obviously, their resources are limited to what's on the island. But there was quite a bit of copper, which is a naturally occurring resource that was used predominantly in the Bronze Age. And when you think about the Assyrians, they're forging some metals and doing some of these things, so they're going to be trading with this group and eventually conquering this group. So that would be slide number 3. So let's go back to our requirement. Some weapons here. This is the sickle. The sickle, I actually got this from an article, the Keeley article. It is traded, so the Egyptians made a lot of bronze tools, and they would have traded those back and forth between Cyprus. So including that information there has been helpful in checking some more things off of my list. All right, so let's talk about how we got the information down here for the geography. What we want to do then is jump over here. I just did a simple, for a lot of this stuff, it's known information. Not a lot changes a whole lot. Keyword search: Cyprus, ancient, and resources. So then for this assignment, Wikipedia is not bad, but I tried to work away from the Wikipedia, and what I came up with was the British Museum. This is on the homepage, so if you're looking, this gets me right to the Keeley article. I gathered the information that I needed from this article, and then I found the author. I think he's up here at the top on this one. Thomas Keeley, title of it. All that information then can be put into citation machine. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pick MLA, and we're citing a website. So there's website. And you're going to want to go in
and fill in the blanks. The nice thing about this is that you can copy, Control C, Control V, boom, there it is.
and then I simply added a slide at the end and pasted my citation in there. If your citation were to go over 2 lines, you would need to hit enter, and it should be tabbed over like this. The other thing about the citations you'll notice is that they are in alphabetical order. Okay? So let's jump back to our checklist. So let's go back and look at it. Decker has included this irrigation. As you can see, it looks like maybe there's some priests here or some supervisors and definitely some workers. These shadoofs back here make me think that this is probably an Egyptian picture of irrigation, but there's no reason to think that perhaps the Cyprians, I guess is what we'll call them, because they traded with Egypt and are even controlled by Egyptians at one time. No reason to think that they probably were not using that technology as well. So a good picture there. Here's a modern day street view, and here's an ancient street view. So that's some of the architecture. So when you're looking at your checklist, gods, theos, and ism is a belief or practice of polytheism. We're going to take the Mesopotamian creation story, and we're going to talk about mud and Enki. You're going to need to summarize a little bit more than that. For right living, we're going to steal the Book of the Dead from the Egyptians, because this place was ruled by different groups, so at different times they're probably going to have different religions. And afterlife, they're going to go to the happy food field, because it's much better than going to the dust, dirt, and darkened mud. And where did this come from? Mesopotamian culture, i.e. Phoenicia and Egypt. Okay, so we got our Mesopotamian roots from the Phoenicians and our Egyptian roots from the Egyptians, and I've included a Creative Commons licensed picture of the Book of the Dead. This was just Google searched, so you go insert, image, and you want to go to, not my drive, I want to go insert, I want to go image, I want to go to search, and anything you Google search in here, okay, so Book of the Dead, is Creative Commons licensed, so it doesn't need a source. There's a picture of the Book of the Dead, drop it in, make it how you want to make it. I've included some writing here. You got hieroglyphics, okay, and you have cuneiform, and the way that we know how to read hieroglyphics is the Rosetta Stone. Moving on. Here is the social structure noted up here. It's a patriarchy. Stole the social structure from Mesopotamia: ruler, officials, priests, scribes, merchants, artisans, and lesser priests. And then over here is a description of how they work. And notice that the scribes would be writing in cuneiform to record those trades. This is wedge-shaped writing on clay tablets again. One, food. Here is the traditional recipe. These koopies are actually like a meat donut. Sounded pretty good, and it was a 5 out of 5 for difficulty, so I have not brought them in, and I don't have any fancy tools like this in the background, but I got a Creative Commons licensed picture in the background, so let me show you how to do that. You would go insert, image, you're going to search koopies. Here's my picture. When I select it, it's going to get kicked in here. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to click on order, and I'm going to go send all the way to the back. Now I'm going to actually delete this one, because then what you also need to know is you can insert a text box right on top of it, and you can paste your recipe. Easiest way to get a recipe is to go online, traditional recipe from Cyprus, boom. And I took the first one because it's AphroditesKitchen.com. Knowing that they had Greek roots, I went ahead and stayed with AphroditesKitchen.com. It's a food blog, and there were several choices. I just looked at the choices. Some of it looked good, some of it didn't. This actually caught my eye, and these are koopies. And on to the final piece that we needed to check off our list. Here's some history/fashion. This is a mosaic from Cyprus, okay? And even though they're trying to be a little bit inappropriate like the Greeks here, they're getting in that ideal form. This is Lysa and the Swan, comes from Wikipedia. Okay. And very simply, sent it to the background, described what's going on here, and showed how they were trading linens and cottons. This is an art form that was from Cyprus and Crete and Greece, so the mosaic is part of the art form that's included. And obviously then we'll talk more about this perspective and stuff as we go, so I try to use that as a transitional piece there. Double check this assignment once I've gone through, kind of have everything that I need to do. I'm going to go back to the rubric, make sure that I have all those things.